Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Good morning. Welcome to Encounter. I'm Joe Sellepack, your host this morning for the Encounter Show. It's September, and in September we begin to think about going back to school and all kinds of changes that go on in families throughout our area. One of the things that has been happening the last few years has been our hunger walk at the Council of Churches has been taking place in September over at the university at the university in Vestal. So one of the reasons that we like to walk is because we want to bring a sense of urgency to the cause of hunger and being able to feed people in our area, and it becomes a visible way of doing that. How important do you think it is for us to have these types of community events that help people understand the need of hungry people in our area?
I think it's incredibly important. The Hunger Walk isn't only just to raise funds, it's also to raise awareness. There's a lot of people in Broome County that really don't understand the scope of hunger and what an issue that it is. For instance, in Broome County, there's over 16,000 children that rely on free and reduced lunch at school. So during the summer, during school breaks, during the weekends, they're missing out on those 2 meals, and that stress really kind of bleeds into the household. So we really try to raise this money and the awareness so that during the summer these kids can just be kids and not really have to worry about where their next meal is coming from.
Well, my guest today is Jack Seman. Jack is the CHOW director for the Broome County Council of Churches. Welcome to Encounter, Jack.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
How does it feel? It's one of your first times being on Encounter as a director.
It feels good. It feels good. Yeah, this is my first time in this position. Last was a number of years ago when I worked in the warehouse, and not much has changed here, but lots changed over at the council.
So the Hunger Walk, how many people are we expecting to come out for it and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we usually plan to have at least 300 to 500 people there, and everybody starts at 1 o'clock at Binghamton University, right behind the East Gym. You come at 1 o'clock, mingle, kind of hang out with everyone, listen to some really cool music, register, and then at 2 o'clock we walk around the brain of the campus. It's a really light walk. It's about 2.2 K. Pretty simple walk. We'll have volunteers at all of the crossings to make sure everyone stays safe. Then we come back and we eat a great meal brought to you by the Binghamton University Dining Services. A huge shout out to them. They do such an incredible job with this meal every year and really just make us feel welcomed. It's
like hamburgers and hot dogs and that kind of thing.
Yep, hamburgers, hot dogs, fruits and vegetables. Juice. They have veggie burgers for our vegetarian friends. Yep, they have it all. They're really, really great partners.
And for I think there's a minimum requirement, so we're asking people to raise $25.
We are. So of course anyone's welcome to the walk. We ask that if for a T-shirt, and this year's T-shirts are very nice, that we ask that you donate at least $25 for a T-shirt.
And they'll get a meal, they get a walk, they get some music. We'll have some presenters who'll talk a little bit about what we're raising money for, of course, and then and they get a nice afternoon out of the whole thing, right?
They do. They get a chance to meet a lot of the volunteers that really make this happen. You know, CHOW would just be a warehouse in Binghamton without our incredible volunteers who head up all of our partner agencies, all of our pantries and community meals. We would just be a warehouse full of food without our incredible volunteers. So it's just a great chance for people to come by, meet some of the folks that are really the boots on the ground and helping the folks in Broome County.
So you were saying before that we have about 16,000 children in our area who are reliant on the free and reduced lunch program at schools. How does that translate? Like how many pounds of food is necessary for the emergency food program in our area?
Oh, goodness. So according to a study that Feeding America conducted, Broome County requires about 8 million pounds of food to close the gap, is what they would say. We and our partners are only able to meet about 60% of that. So you can imagine there's still quite a bit that needs to be done. And I think what's really unique about CHOW is that in recent years, we started to think of more holistic ways to fight hunger rather than just emergency food programs. So that's things like the job training program, nutrition education, financial literacy, really trying to get people to a point in their lives where they don't need emergency food and they can become self-sufficient.
Right, because part of the issue is that you have this $8 million pound shortfall, which translates to a whole mess of people that are in need, and so the only ways that you can actually fight that problem is by either putting more food into the emergency food program or helping reduce the amount of need that's on the emergency food program.
Right, shortening the line.
So tell us a little bit more about how CHOW is shortening the line.
So we are proud to announce that we are in our second year of partnership with the Broome County Department of Social Services in our CHOW Works job training program. So 12 participants, up to 12 participants, come into our warehouse and they spend 12 weeks with us. They receive forklift certification, training on a forklift, multiple kinds of material handling equipment like pallet jacks. They become OSHA certified and they become ServSafe certified. So a forklift certification takes you many places in Broome County. I know a lot of people are aware that there's a lot of warehouses around here. We have Mains, we have Dick's, Willow Run, a lot of warehouses and a lot of job opportunities that aren't filled right now. So by getting them that certification, they have an upper hand in receiving employment. ServSafe certification, if you've ever looked up on the wall at a restaurant or something like that, a lot of times you'll see the manager's ServSafe certification. So that just shows an employer that this person is trained in food safety handling. They know the proper temperatures to cook food to. OSHA certification really gives someone a leg up at a construction site or other warehousing as well are really reliant on OSHA certifications. But one of my favorite parts about the program is the second half of the day. The second half of the day consists of classes, financial literacy. We're really proud to have Visions Federal Credit Union and CEFCU come in and actually teach the participants how to open up a checking account, how to balance their budget, how to check their credit score. I think a lot of people want to become homeowners one day and they feel it's unobtainable, but it really it starts one step at a time, and we work with our participants to get them to that point, or at least close to it. Another reason why a lot of these jobs are open right now are because people don't have transportation to them. The bus lines don't go that far, and the hours that they do aren't really convenient for a lot of the shifts that are open. So the council actually has a line of money available to help people out with their fines as well. So, somebody might have $200 might stand in the way of somebody on their driver's license, and if somebody's on a fixed income, they have children, they have other bills to take care of, that could be unobtainable. So we're able to kind of overcome that barrier with them, and if they've made an investment in our program, we'll make an investment in them.
And there's a lot of you hate to say this, but there's a lot of predatorial lending. There's a lot of predatorial issues that are involved with a person who's being poor. So the issue of financial literacy is really important because they learn, for instance, that check cashing places aren't necessarily the best place to cash your check because they're going to charge and the rest of it. So you open a checking account because the checking account is going to help them in the long run. Or if you go to rent a center, it's not going to give you the same thing as if you buy it outright. Save for it, buy it in the end. Yes. So it's just a different type of mentality that we're trying to teach the individuals at the same time as opening up opportunities for them on the other end, where they could get work that may be better for them in the long run too, right?
Exactly. It's really just meeting people where they're at. We have some participants that come into the program and maybe they haven't worked in a decade. Maybe they've never worked before, and really just they're going through issues at home that you couldn't even fathom. And sometimes just them showing up to work on time is a win. And really just finding out where they're at and how we can help them, whether it's childcare, whether it's transportation, navigating the public transportation system.
It's a huge problem.
Can at times be very daunting. I've had to do it before, and luckily I just kind of followed the crowd and got off when they got off. But no, we have a full-time position dedicated to really overcoming those barriers, and we're proud to say that the program's been really successful so far.
And so this hunger walk, again, my guest today is Jack Seman. He's the director of CHOW. Jack, this hunger walk that's going on, of course, helps with all of CHOW, all of the programs that CHOW runs. Mm-hmm. And how important is community involvement with CHOW?
It's absolutely incredibly important. We would be nothing without the community. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that CHOW is really just a tool that the community uses to help itself. And you can look at a number of places, whether it's the various food drives that go on. There are so many companies and so many organizations that hold food drives for CHOW. What started to happen in recent years is children have started to dedicate their birthdays to donating food to CHOW, which is just absolutely incredible. I don't know if I was that disciplined when I was 7 or 8 years old, but there are some incredible kids out there, and this community is just fantastic. We see it with all of our events. We see it with almost every day in the warehouse. Somebody is coming by to donate and to help. So that's why I think the awareness part is so important as well, because I know there are other community members out there who maybe just aren't aware of the need. They're not aware of the issue. And so to get it out there and to let people know what the problem is and what can be done about it it's priceless. It's invaluable.
And so people by participating in the hunger walk, mm-hmm. they can help give back to the issues that we've been talking about. Yeah,
there are very few events that go on where you can come, register, and that money, that donation goes to so many places. So it goes to job training, it goes to nutrition education, financial literacy, it goes to food recovery. A lot of food that's perfectly edible gets thrown away in America and all over the world. And our Broom Bounty program recovers just about 1.2 million pounds of that every year. So your donation goes there. It goes to making sure that a family doesn't go to bed hungry, that if a parent isn't cutting their portion in half, and sometimes just so a kid can have a birthday cake for their birthday.
Right. Yeah. One of my favorite memories, I think, from and I do these on occasions. Yeah, a tour that I gave of the CHOW building. Nobody else was available, and so they asked me to be there and to help this group of Girl Scouts go through the CHOW warehouse. And so I was there with about I think there was a dozen or 20 Girl Scouts that were going through the warehouse. And they were, when I was telling them all the things that we do, and they were really impressed with the amount of food that we recovered, and they wanted to know how many pounds of food they were donating. And so I had them all put their food on the big pallet scale that we have, and it's a big scale. It goes across a whole pallet can sit on top of it. And they put all their food on top of there, and they gave us almost 600 pounds of food for this Girl Scout troop. And so I said, okay, let's take all the food off there. Now I want to see how much you weigh, the entire Girl Scout troop. And so they all got onto the pallet jack. They all weighed themselves, and they had given more in pounds of food than what the entire Girl Scout troop weighed.
That's great.
And they were really impressed by that. Yeah. But it just gives a demonstration as to how the community really does come around to help with hunger in our area. Yeah. And the hunger walk is yet another opportunity for people to be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and if anybody was interested in the hunger walk, our website, you can go right to the CHOW tab, go on down to CHOW Hunger Walk, and then you'll be able to print out all the registration information that you need. If you'd like to come by for a tour of the warehouse, which I welcome anyone who'd like to come and see what we do, come and see. You're welcome to come and pick up an envelope as well if you'd like to get a team together.
Yeah, and so the route that they're walking is it's a pretty walk too, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, Binghamton University is a beautiful campus, and we'll be walking around what's known as the Brain. So it's kind of just the loop around the campus and then back to the gym. Yeah, it's a great walk. We usually have really, really great weather. Sometimes it's a little breezy, sometimes it's a little cold. Last year it was about 85 degrees, so who knows what we'll have this year. But as long as it's not raining or snowing, I think we'll be just fine.
And then there is that meal at the end, so that the meal is probably after 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, after everybody gets back.
Yep. As walkers start to trail back into the parking lot, you kind of line up and get a plate, sit down, mingle, socialize, talk about your walk, and talk about what's going on.
And so we've talked about the job training program, the importance of the job training program, and you had brought up the 1.2 million pounds of food that we recover every year. Where does that food come from?
It comes from a number of places. So we recover food from most of the grocery stores in Broome County, so all the Wise Markets, all the Price Choppers, Aldi's, Walmart, a lot of the warehouses like Willow Run and Maine's, some restaurants like Olive Garden, Red Lobster, Outback Steakhouse, Knees and Toes. All of that